Hello, my name is Puller, and today I have a 20 plus minute video for you that is mostly me doing some letter writing, but I wanted to give you the full details on my Hello? Anyways, I wanted to give you the full details on my crash out and move to New York City because a lot has happened in my life and I kind of just want to talk about it. So think of it, it could even be like a podcast episode. You really don't need to witness me writing. I'm just mostly talking. But I have recorded footage for you to witness if you would like. So let's take it back to April 2025. You know what? Let's take it back even further. Let's take it back to October 2024. And I had but I had recently, I guess it was September. Sorry, I'm really good at time. October is when the applications were due. So I applied for the JET program for 2025, and I went through the whole process. It's about like 7 months of waiting, pretty much, and I felt really good about it. I got an interview, and so that led to more waiting because I wasn't just, told no. But so that's good, and it was a good process, and I'm glad I went through it. And then fast forward to April 21st, or probably the 20th, I was rejected from the JET program, which is fine and good. But I did crash out a little. Not like really. I was just kind of like it was less about JET and more about like my future, because JET was sort of something that felt like a way forward when I really didn't know what else to do. And of course you shouldn't put your eggs in one basket, but I kind of did. Not really, because I had other prospects in my hometown, but I just kind of didn't want them after I got rejected from JET. I had a job. I had additional jobs coming into my life, and the day I got rejected, I started looking for housing in New York City. Now, key thing to note is that I lived at home, like my parents' home, my parent singular, their home. And I'm 26. I've lived at home most of my life, and I was ready for a change. And that's another thing that I think JET was kind of representative of for me. It was going to be a way out. And of course, I'm grateful to have been able to live at home for as long as I did. But I just needed the living situation to change. And so when I didn't get into JET, I almost immediately started looking for housing in Brooklyn. Not Brooklyn specifically, but just New York City. I ended up in Brooklyn. So I found housing pretty much the next day, started moving forward with the process of leaving my job, and started packing. Honestly, I moved within a week of getting rejected from JET, and it's kind of crazy. I signed a lease within 3 days, and I was moving within a week. And it was great until the day of. I cried the entire time, the morning of, and then the entire time to the train station, and then the entire train ride. But I'm so happy and proud of myself for doing it, because I'm very happy with what has developed so far for me in the city. And I think it was really necessary. And even if I'm still scared, which you could say might be true, I want to work through that fear and keep going. So the day I moved, I had 2 bags. I took a train, and because it was so last minute, I had to take a room, and that's why I felt comfortable crying, because I was in a solo room. And I get to New York City, Penn Station, and I take my train. I take the train to Penn, and then I have to take a subway. Well, I didn't have to take a subway, but I didn't want to take an Uber, so I took a subway to my housing. And something I was really focused on with my housing was being with other people in a more sort of co-living situation, because I did not want to be alone. And because I've been alone in a living situation before and it did not go well, and not to say that I haven't changed since that happened, I just think I know myself well enough to know that I will find more success in a non-solo living situation. So, first night, came in, eventually actually got into the house because I had to wait for someone to show up. Unpacked just a little bit, met my roommates just a little bit, and went to Eepy Sleepy Town. And honestly, I'm happy with the fact that I even just made it. There were really not any snafus. Someone even helped me on the subway and was like, do you want to put your bag in like this spot so you're kind of more out of the way, which I appreciate. In a kind way. They weren't like get out of the way. And since I've moved to New York City, I literally my first full day, so I had an interview for my first day here, and I got the job at the interview. Which, I mean, it's not like it's at a swim school. It's not like I'm working at a big fashion design company or something, but I'm still, I mean, a job is a job, you know? You take it. And so I got my first job, and then that night I saw Lorde in Washington Square Park just by chance. I saw it randomly on someone's story that she might be there, so I went, and then if you know, you know, it took a while for her to actually be able to go up and do her performance, but I was like in the very front, and I was like, must have been like less than 5 feet away from her. And for my first full day in New York City, it was just crazy. I was like, I've never lived at such a pace. I've never lived with so much going on. And the next day, I went to see Cabaret on Broadway at the Kit Kat Club with Orville Peck, which was also breathtaking. I don't know how I was kind of just like in awe of like how to process it, because it's just a little bit too relevant. Not like it's not too relevant. It just is relevant, and like when you have to face that fact, it can be hard. But it was beautiful, and I really enjoyed it, and I recommend going to see it very strongly. And that was my second full day, and since then things have kind of calmed down a bit. I mean, crazy things are still happening as they do in New York City, but overall I think it's chilled. Oh, I did see Orville Peck again. I saw him at a gay club doing an interview with a drag queen, and that was fantastic. That was great. But yeah, overall things kind of like chilled. Well, actually, hold on. First weekend, with my roomies, I did get absolutely slammered. I've been calling it slammered. Is that a word? Um, I'm making it a word for now, but basically I got drunk, and I've never been drunk before, so it was very fun. And all of my roomies were like, "You've never been drunk before?" And I said, "Yes, that is a fact." And now I know. Now I kind of get it. Like, I don't really, like, want it all the time, but, like, I get why it's fun. Anyways, yes. So after that, it for real kind of calmed down and was like chill for a little bit. And I learned this thing. I have a Tumblr in case anyone needed to know. And I saw this post that was like talking about the concept of bottom drop, which I'm not really familiar with, but did resonate because it's like a kink term for when you have something really euphoric happen and then coming down can be really emotional. And I think that while I was not in a kink situation, I did experience bottom drop because that's what the post was saying. It was like, this should be more normalized because it's a thing that just happens in life. Like, if something really euphoric happens to you and you then have to come back to baseline, it can feel really emotional. And I think that after my first week in New York City, that is what I was sort of experiencing because, and I was trying to explain this to a coworker, but I used convention blues instead because I feel like I just met these people and I can't be like, yes, I saw this thing on Tumblr. It was about kink terms and it was like, whatever. So I used convention blues and that was still confusing. So I'm glad I didn't go with bottom drop because they were like, oh, I've never been to a convention before. So there was it. Yeah. I think that it was just recognizing that the first week I was here was really kind of magical and not normal. Like, that's not going to be every week. There isn't going to be something crazy happening every day. But that doesn't mean that good things can't happen every day. And even if good things don't happen every day, that doesn't mean you shut down, you know? Like, I just feel like recognizing where you're at and that where you're at is good enough really helps with maintaining a sense of stability. And I feel like overall I've been doing pretty okay being on my own for the first time emotionally. I have been, I think it's really just about like talking and like giving people the information that like, oh, I just moved, I feel a little bit out of my depth, this is very new to me, and just context and hoping that people have empathy, which they do for the most part, really takes you a long way. And then I have this other not issue, but like, I don't really know what I'm doing here because, like I mentioned, moving here was a bit on a whim. Like, I just needed to get out. I just needed to, like, I didn't need to get out. It wasn't a bad living situation, but for my mental health and for my growth as a person, really felt I needed to leave home. And I kind of moved here, and now I'm just left with this empty question of what am I doing? And I don't feel bad about that question. My tone of voice might be kind of like doom gloom. I don't know. I haven't listened to this yet, but I feel very good overall. Like I feel good about the future, and even if I don't know what the future is, I feel okay. I feel okay with where things are going to go, even if I don't know what they're going to become. And I have the sniffles. The New York City allergies tried to kill me. They tried to kill me. I didn't know it would be so bad. Nonetheless, I have a job. I'm looking for a second job. I am living, surviving, thriving, question mark. And it still doesn't pull away that question of what am I doing? What am I doing here? And I think it's something I've been journaling a lot, almost every day, if not multiple times a day. And I think that is really where it'll come through in like reflection, because I don't feel emptiness so much as I feel maybe like potential, unused potential. Like if I knew why I was here and what I wanted to do, I would be able to direct my energy towards that a little more energetically or with more force. And by just kind of floating around in the ether, I'm not accomplishing as much as I could be, which is kind of like capitalistic and not my goal. But I mean, floating around in the ether doesn't sound so bad. But I think that having goals at least might help me be a little bit more driven and have some sense of self and place in the place that I am at this moment. But we'll see. We'll see. Because I didn't really have... I kind of ran away from that too, because I didn't really know what I was doing at home. I didn't know where I was going, and I thought maybe... I think part of it was maybe if I moved, I would find some sort of direction, but you can't just change where you are and discover who you are, you know? Where and who do not equate each other. But I don't think that it's something I have to discover today or at this moment while I record this. I just feel like it is something I should explore because I feel energetically off, maybe. Because in day to day, I do things, and I recognize that I do things, but I don't feel like I was the most efficient I could have been, or brought it to the conclusion that it could have been. I'm sitting in an uncomfortable position. Sorry, I just needed to rearrange myself a bit. Excuse me. So, it feels like something I have to work out, not something that it's gonna work itself out. But that's something for another day. For now, I think I'll actually address the content of the video, which is letter writing. This has been something that I was doing before I came to New York City. It was sort of a recent development, but it's been very grounding because it's almost a different kind of journaling. You're journaling for someone else, I guess. And now that I'm away from my friends back home, it's a way to connect away from social media. It's almost like I don't know, like a text is sort of level one, a phone call is another level, and then maybe letters are the next step up. It doesn't really compare to in person, but something about the connection that's created between exchanging letters feels almost enough. And then I have pen pals who I have not met. And that is lovely as well, because even when I feel lonely, I have folks, and they are around me and support me, and I have so many different things to talk about with people, because the directions that pen paling takes can be quite different and varied, and it brings an amount of consistency. Like where I am right now, I don't really have a schedule yet. I'm just existing. I'm just going through it day by day, which may be a problem in and of itself, I don't know. But when I really sit down and get into letter writing, it helps me on like a daily basis. It helps me have and start to build a schedule. I do this at this time. I do that at this time. And while I have not ever mastered this, it's a step. And a step is just the first part of the journey. So I'll take it. And we are finally getting towards the end. So I will wrap up. I don't know how long exactly it is because I'm not very good at editing. But I'll just say that it's been good. I'm happy and I'm excited about the prospects of what is happening around me. And I'm also happy with how this wax seal came out. Anyways, have a lovely day, night, whatever you're experiencing, and goodbye.